Hello, 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 hello. Good Monday morning, everybody. It's Monday. I had to check the calendar just to make sure that it was, in fact, Monday. And we're going to do something fun. Laura and I, are going to go live. All things being consistent, we're going to go live. How do I do this? Go live with Laura. Yes. Every day at 8:30 in the morning, and share our knowledge with you, because that is the best way we thought we could help you. Okay, I'm hearing things from your side, I think. I'm hearing myself in Zoom, so maybe turn your out volume. Okay, so we're trying to live stream on 2 platforms at the same time. Amazing. Yes. So we're Facebooking, we're Instagramming, and during this time, we were contemplating, we put our heads together and we were like, cumulatively, we have so much knowledge and we don't typically allow our brains to get picked, but these are special times. These are special times, and special circumstances calls for special things. And we're going to be here. So we have a plan for the next 2 weeks. We are going to basically just spew the knowledge that's in our brains. You're welcome to ask us any and all questions. So we're going to go over the agenda as to what we're going to do over the next 2 weeks. And you can keep up with us on Facebook. You can keep up with us in the Take Your Health Practice Online Facebook group, or you can keep up with us on Instagram. We're hoping that all of these platforms work, just so that we can best support you through this time, whether you are offline in a clinic, gym, whatever, or you are online and you're wondering, like, do I make offers right now? How do I get clients? What do I do? How can I future-proof my business? If I could have gone back 6 months and known this was going to happen, how would I have acted differently to, make sure that I am in a better position than I'm in right now? All of that good stuff. So why don't we just kick it off, Laura? Why don't you just intro yourself a little bit, just to those people who might not be super familiar?
Yeah, totally. So my name is Laura, as you guys, are we getting...
Yep. There you go. it's fine. I fixed it.
It's like,
same thing happened.
Okay, cool.
Surround sound.
Now it's no longer surrounding myself in my own voice. So we'll start again. I'm Laura Wood. For those of you who don't know me, I am on Lori's team. I have a couple of roles, but I am the director of the 10K Success System. So I work with our high-level clients in that program. I also run the ads for our company and run the sales as well. And prior to doing that, I had a nutrition business that was online and that I quickly decided I really, really liked the sales and marketing for much more than the actual nutritioning, which was what led me to where I am now.
Yeah, amazing. So the agenda that we thought about when we were like, okay, how can we give you only what you need right now and get rid of all the fluff? Because we do not need fluff at this well, first of all, we never need fluff, but even more so now, what are the 2 key things that you need to know and do so that you can take imperfect action, and so that you can, to the best of your ability, ride this wave in a really productive and healthy way? And the only 2 things are attention and offers. That's it.
That's it.
We don't need to talk about making pretty logos or fixing up your website or doing anything. It's like, how do you get and keep attention? And how do you create, if you don't already have a program or a service, and how do you offer it in a way that actually yields a result? Those are the 2 things. That's it. Attention and offers. And so basically, we're going to do a high-level overview today, And then I'll just give you the agendas to what we've mapped out specifically for the next week, just so that you can follow along. And of course, these lives will be up on Instagram for a bit, but you can always go into the Take Your Health Practice online Facebook group or on my business page at Lori Kennedy Inc. and watch the replays if you are not able to join us live. Sorry, I just got a Slack notification that said something and I read it. Okay, so the agenda. So today we're going to go through high level. We're going to talk about what is attention, how do you get it, how do you keep it, and different types of offers, whether you're licensed, so you're an ND, you're an RD. We have hundreds of, if not thousands of licensed practitioners in our community wondering, like, what do I do? We have, RMTs, we have nurses, we have doctors, we have naturopaths, we have dietitians, we have osteopaths, we have therapists, like psychotherapists, we have social workers. So we really want to be able to share what our clients are doing and what they've been doing to give you some ideas of how you can do it for yourself right now, to leverage the knowledge that you have in your own head. So today we're going to do high level attention and offers. And then tomorrow we're going to go deep into the format of your offer. So we're getting a lot of questions around, should I discount? What should I charge? How do I promote my service or my program without feeling guilty or bad or shameful or whatever? And we're actually going to give you 2 examples of how you can do it. Those of you that are licensed, so NDs, RDs, and the like. And then we're going to do another example for a health coach and a nutritionist, because what you're able to do it is different in terms of the operation of it, sort of the setup of it. So that's tomorrow. Wednesday, we're going to do pricing, discounts, guarantees, and then the actual transaction. Thursday, we're going to do onboarding. This is something that gets left out a whole heck of a lot, and it's super, super important, because this is where your new clients experience you for the first time, and we want to give them the best onboarding as possible. Given the fact that you're likely throwing this together last minute, we're going to give you some strategies as to how to onboard them in a way that feels really good, feels really professional, and also makes them feel super secure. And then Friday, we're going to review and we're going to do next steps, because next week we're going to shift and go attention. And do you want to just share, Laura, why we're doing it this way, which might seem backwards, but it's not?
Totally. It does seem backwards, but here's the thing. Until you know what your offer is, until you know the problem that you're solving for the person that you're solving it for and the transformation you're providing, you don't know how to get their attention, because you don't know what to talk about. You don't know what to offer them. You don't know how to make that this seamless transition between getting attention and, chatting with these people in this online forum and then bringing them into the offer that you have. So we have to reverse engineer it. We have to get you guys to know exactly what you're offering, and why you're offering and who you're offering it to. And then we get to talk about how to get their attention.
Yeah. And a lot of our clients get really confused about that. So when they come essentially to work with us at first, we spend so much time doing things backwards, because
yes,
even though front facing, it's like, okay, attention, lead gen, nurture, then move them into the program, which makes sense, but that's not actually how you have to build it. Right? So we have to do things in a little bit of a disjointed way in order to make sure that what you're talking about leads to them being in a better position to say yes. Right? Because if we start with attention and we're like, okay, brainstorm, which is great, it's not a focused brainstorm, and that's a waste of time, and we don't have time to waste right now. So even though a lot of other people are probably like, no, give content, which we are too, we're like, share, give value, we want to make sure that it's focused, because you don't have time to waste, you don't have energy to waste. And if your content that you're creating isn't focused around getting them in a better position to say yes to your offer, then it's a waste, right?
Totally.
I mean, it's not a waste. all value is good value, but we want to make sure that it's strategic in the sense that you're actually bringing them into a position where you can legitimately support them. And we know that the best way for you to transform lives, to support your clients, is by working with them, not by giving them only free content, because that's not helpful, right? In the long run for them, because they're just going to end up having more questions. They're going to ask you more questions. You're going to feel like your brain's being picked. And it's just a whole scenario that we don't want to get into. So that's basically the plan for the next 2 weeks. We're going to go offers first, attention second. We hope you'll follow along. Let's just, for those of you watching live on Instagram or even on Facebook, what designation are you? We want to make sure that we're giving this really strategically. So if you would just put in the comments, put in the chat, what is your professional designation? Are you a health coach? Are you a nutritionist? What sort of area do you focus on? Ooh, acupuncturist. Okay.
Ooh, that's fun.
That's fun. We're going to definitely give some ideas onto how you can support your people right now. Nutritionist. Okay, I'm going to go look over on the Facebook. Health coach. Cool. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so if you're watching on Facebook, let me know. Acupuncturist ND. Cool. Okay, I'm leaning over because my phone is that way. Occupational therapist, RN and LMT, parenting coach, life coach. Cool. Okay. Aromatherapist. Amazing. Okay, good. So what we're going to do after this is we're going to make a list of all of the different designations so that when we talk to you over the next 2 weeks, physical therapist, yeah, these are all a lot of offline stuff. We got some good things for you. Children's book author.
Yeah.
We're going to go make a list so that when we give you this content over the next 2 weeks, we're really structuring it for those of you that are, osteopath, right? So cancer coach. Yep. So we're really structuring it for those of you. So keep it coming. If you're just tuning in, let us know, please, in the comments what your designation is. Even if you're watching this on the replay, please let us know, because we will make a list. And that way we can bring as many examples that we can to the content to make it as relevant for you as possible. So please, please, please put your professional designation, even if you're still in school, into the comments so that we can really customize the next 2 weeks of training specific to you. All right, let's kick it off. And if you guys have any questions as we're going, make sure to put them in the comments as well. All right. So today we're going to do high level in terms of attention and offers. So let's start with the way that we're actually going to teach it, which is backwards. So we're going to start with offers and we're going to move to attention. So let's talk about, first of all, what is an offer? And since you head up our sales department, do you want to talk about what an offer is?
Totally. Yeah. And it's so interesting because this is one of those conversations where, again, a lot of clients come in and start working with us, and we realize really quickly that they don't actually know what it is that they're offering. And so that is a big problem, because if you don't know what you're actually offering, it's really, really hard to position it in a way that people want to accept that offer and work with you. So an offer, I mean, if we make it as simple and straightforward as we possibly can, the offer is the problem that you're solving for the client and what that means for their life. So if the offer, if you do, let's use an example from our world. So if you do, what's a good one, Laura?
So if you do menopausal women, or
yes.
if you do IBS.
Yes. Okay. So let's say it's IBS. So the offer is not IBS. Like, you're not offering them, oh, I do IBS. I work with IBS. The offer is that you stop them from pooping their pants in 6 weeks or less. Like, that would be the offer. So it's the problem that you solve in the lived experience, that they are having that problem, and a clear outcome at the other end.
Yeah. and I just want to add on to that, just so that we're being very, very clear. Having a 12-week program, having a one-on-one session, that is not an offer. So basically, when we say offer, all that really means is the transformation, right? That's really what it means. And the offer or the transformation, the desired outcome, is made up of several things. It's not just a program. So what makes up this package, what makes up this opportunity, what makes up this offer that you want your clients or patients to say yes to could be several things. It's the method by which you're going to actually get them the result, in addition to the support, in addition to the accountability, in addition to whatever type of way that you roll it out. It's multiple things that come together to make this amazing offer that, leads to the desired transformation. And so when we say to any type of practitioners, whether you're, a dietitian or a health coach or a parenting coach or an occupational therapist or an ND, when you're working online, it's not the same as offline, because offline, they're coming to you to get an adjustment and they leave. However, they're coming to you because they want a transformation. So you still do have an offer, but when you're online, when you're transitioning online, it's different because you need to package several things together to make it valuable, right? Because you can't just manipulate them, because that's not a thing that you can do online, right? And so it doesn't matter what it is, to have an offer, a revenue stream, whatever you want to call it, that sells over and over and over again. We need to start by getting very, very clear on the problem that your ideal client wants to be solved, not how you're actually going to solve it. So when people come into our world and start working with us and we say, what do you do? What's the problem you solve? And they say, I have a 12-week program that helps people get rid of acne. Okay, but that's not an offer. That's a tool that's part of a revenue stream. So what we need to do is we need to package it. Now, you don't have all the time in the world to sort of sit and figure this out. So we're going to fast track this process for you over the next couple of days. And we're going to literally give you language and give you tools to be able to communicate what it is that you do. And we're going to start that tomorrow. So this is just a high level overview, because we need you to understand, regardless of where you are in your business or whether you currently work with us, you will work with us in the future, it doesn't matter. Our mission as a company is to transform the way that practitioners and coaches think about and run their businesses. And if you don't understand your business, especially when you want to move online, given where we're at right now, you're going to try and sell your 12-week program and it's not going to sell. You're going to try and even sell your one-on-one services and it's not going to sell, because you're selling a one-on-one consultation, and that's not a solvable problem. That's just, that's a hammer, right? Like, having a one-on-one consultation is not a solvable problem, right? That's the mechanism by which you see someone, but selling one-on-one consults, that's not solving a problem. That's, selling 60 minutes of your time. And that may or may not feel valuable to people, depending on how you talk about it. So when we go into offers, right, there's two kinds. There's the program, which is, 6, 8, 12 weeks. And then there's services, right? So a service is a one-on-one consultation. A service are like testing, right? Like, we have some practitioners who do like the GI map, or I don't know, what else do they do? The GI map, they do
Dutch test, like any sort of tools that you would use to then be able to go in and make inferences about your patient or your client.
Right. And so we have to be able to sell that And those are offers, right? And so right now, we were talking about this morning. We were like, okay, what can we say and do to get them more clients, to help them secure their business? And it's make more offers. Do you want to just share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think what happens a lot of the time when we come into a situation like this, where things feel unsure and everything feels like it's being kind of flipped upside down and you're not sure what to do, the natural inclination that we see is for people to make less offers, to stop offering, to pull back and to just either share information or just strictly teach, or to just almost disappear a little bit entirely because they don't know how to show up and they don't know what to do that's going to actually provide value. And so when we had this conversation, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really simple. Like, this is, especially in the industry we're in, like, our mandate, our tool is to help people. Like, that is what we are doing. And at the end of the day, you can't help people if you don't work with them. And you don't work with them if you don't make offers. So now more than ever, when people need help more than ever, this is the time to make the offers. It's not up to you. You know, we talked about this in the town hall. It's not up to you to decide that people will or will not buy what you're offering. That's not up to you. That's actually very, I want to say, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not selfish, but it's almost selfish for you to think that you can pick
like
for
you
other
know better
people.
for them.
Yeah, like you know, it's almost condescending.
It's condescending. Yep.
It's condescending. That's the word. It's condescending for you to say, I can't make offers right now. I shouldn't. People cannot afford what I'm doing. People aren't focused on that. I mean, just because, you know, events are going on in the world and things are happening, it doesn't mean that everybody's other problems just went away. In fact, in health and wellness, they're probably getting worse by the hour with what's going on in the world. Like, if you work with people who have IBS, we go back to that. Like, do you think the events of the world right now are helping to make those symptoms go away?
Right.
Or are they getting exponentially worse as stress levels go up, right? Like, and I think that's true for every single modality, niche, anything I can think of in this industry right now. It's not going away. It's getting worse. And if you stop making offers, then you can't help people. And your people and your clients and your audience are getting sicker.
I'd love to just get sort of like a touch point from you guys watching live. Do you feel nervous to promote your offer right now? Tell me in the comments if that's something that you feel. Do you feel nervous right now to promote? Because what we're saying and what we want you to do is actually make more offers. And that's what we're going to sort of walk you through over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so slightly, yes. Okay, so if you're watching on Facebook too, yeah, Amanda says yes. Okay, so here's the thing. Yep, sometimes. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is how to, okay, no, I feel excited. Cool.
Yay.
You know, what we're going to talk about is how to use your content to better position. Sorry, my live video got paused because somebody called my phone.
There you are.
How to use your, somebody called my phone. So how to use your content to position the offer, right? And how to get your audience into a better position to say yes to you, so that you're not just buy my shit, one-on-one consults, That's not what we're saying. Don't do that, because that's gross. Like, you shouldn't do that ever, right? Like, that's not something that you should ever do, right? No. There's a way to set it up using your content, right? And that's what we're going to do, but we have to start with the offer first, as we said, because if you don't know the problem that you're solving according to your ideal client, and this is going to be hard this is going to be challenging for those of you who work in a clinic setting. Yes. This is not the same, right? Being able to translate what you do offline, online is obviously so possible. We see it every day, but wrapping your mind around the difference in communication, because when you have a clinic and somebody comes to your clinic, you probably don't even have an ideal client. You know, like, you probably don't have a brand. You probably don't have positioning. you just have a chiropractic clinic or an osteo clinic, or you're a therapist that sees a variety of people, you know, an osteopath, you see a variety of people, and that's not how it works online, right? It's really hard online to be so wide, because then you lose attention, right? And
Yes.
so it's really challenging to transition online. And I know that it's challenging because we have a number of practitioners who also have physical clinics, and they come in and they're like, yeah, this is what I do. I'm like, great, tell me the problem that you solve. And they're like, well, I get rid of back pain, or I get rid of all the pain. And I was like, okay, we need to start with picking one. We need to pick one so that we can build a brand and a program around it. Because in order for you to get and keep attention, we have to be so focused in our messaging. And the way to be so focused in the messaging is to start with the problem that you solve so that you can get the attention. Because if you're just like, here's general advice, nobody's listening, because people are Googling their specific problem, right? So if you're just like, here's general health advice, or here's general fitness, or here's general life advice, or here's general anything, nobody's Googling general anything. They're Googling specific things. And even when we get into talking about like advertising and stuff like that, it has to be so dialed in, because that's how you get attention. And in order to get attention, we have to start below and start with the problem that you solve, so that when you talk, when you post, when you do lives, when you do anything, the person's either like, oh my God, that's me, I have that problem, or no, move on. And that's exactly what we want. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think, it just comes down to the fact that if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. Like straight up, you're talking to nobody. So even think about yourselves in your own life. Like, are you paying attention to people who are talking in generalities right now? Or are you paying attention to people who are speaking directly to the problem that you're having, right? Like, are you just like going on and searching like general business advice to move online during a pandemic? Probably not. But are you looking for people who have done what you are hoping and trying to do and trying to follow that model, right? You're likely doing it the other way because it's specific to you and it feels relatable. So it's the same with your clients. Like they just need to know that you're an expert. Yeah. I think too, whenever we have anybody come in, to work with us who is coming from this offline, busy, successful practice and trying to transition offline, sometimes we'll get not pushback, but like a little bit of, no, I've been doing it this way for a long time. It works. And it's always very interesting to watch it kind of play out. And usually what it comes down to, and this is the metaphor that I've always been successful with, I think, in having these conversations with some pushback, is like, okay, let's think about, high level, you in your life, you are diagnosed with some sort of like a brain condition. Something's going on in your brain. And now you have to go and talk to a doctor about it and figure out what to do next. Are you going to your GP or are you going to the neurologist? Like, who do you want to solve that problem for you? 99% of you are going to say, the neurologist. I want an expert. That's how your clients feel about the problem they have. And when you're online, they want to see the expert talking and they want to talk to that expert
about their particular problem.
Yes.
Not healthy nutrition habits or not general anything, right? That's the difference between offline and online. And that's why when you come from a successful practice or a gym or a yoga studio or whatever, it's different, because people are coming to you to take a yoga class, or people are, walking into your chiro clinic to get adjusted for a variety of issues, which is fine and all well and good, but that's not how it works online, because people are searching for their specific issue, right? They're even searching for you that way offline too, right? But it's just different. It just is.
It's different.
To get and hold attention online, you have to speak directly to a problem that your person is having that you can then solve with your program and service. It's just different. You can't have 17 different ideal clients, because then you have to create 17 different lead magnets and 17 different nurture funnels and 17 different Facebook groups and 17 different things, because all anybody is paying attention to is content for their specific problem, right? A jack of all trades, yet a master of none. Yep.
Yes.
You hear others in the wellness industry tell you it's okay. It's not okay to have a niche online. Good luck to you, sirs. If that's, and madams, like, good luck. Listen, like, we've been doing this for a long time. We've worked with thousands of people. And it's funny because, like, I even made up a song, which I will not sing. Maybe you'll see me sing the song at some point over the next week, because it's like, 1,000 examples can't be wrong. Like, we can't be wrong here. Like, example after example, whether you're a social worker or a naturopath or a dietitian. We just had one of our RDs who's in the US message us and be like, I just hit 10K this month. She's an RD, and the month's not even over. And she's like, thanks a lot, ladies. Like, wouldn't have been able to do this by myself, right? Like,
yeah,
it's amazing. And so it's like, example after example, we can't be wrong. Like, we can't be wrong, right? And so the proof is sort of in the pudding. And it's like, I get that that's maybe how you did it offline, but it's not how you do it online. That's not how this goes. And so we really want to, what we want to leave you with today is a question. What is the specific problem that you can solve for a specific person, right? What is that? Tell us in the comments, because then we have a starting point. We need a starting point. So in terms of everything that your brand and your business is built around. So if you are offline, we said, I'm just going to go back through the list. So for example, we had, hold on, I'm just looking, a chiropractor, an osteopath, a nutrition consultant, a dietitian, a life coach, a parenting coach, an RN, an LMT. What's LMT?
LNT?
LMT. RN is registered nurse. LMT, licensed massage therapist.
Yep.
Occupational therapist, nutrition coach. Okay. Balancing hormones. Yep. But what's the problem? So this is really interesting. So this is really good, right? So you're going to say to me, IBS. Cool. What's the problem? Your people shit their pants. That's the problem, right? Or they have such painful bowel movements.
Yes.
So there's I don't want to use the D word, which is diagnosable, but we can't say that, right? But like, what's the thing according to you? And then what's the thing according to them? Because they don't know balancing their hormones. So what's the problem? Right? So free flow health _ acupuncture. What's the actual problem they're coming to with? What's the complaint? Right?
There's a reason. There's a reason they're coming to you. Right?
And you balance their hormones.
Yes.
But what's the reason they come to you? Because when you talk about the reason, when you talk about the complaint, that's how you get attention. And then you create a service or a program to fix the complaint. PMS. There you go. That's the problem.
That's
right?
a problem.
Yeah. Right.
Yay.
So that's the problem. That's what you need to talk about. All things related to shitty PMS. Right? And how annoying it is and how it's like disruptive and all of that stuff. Yeah. So Deborah's saying chronic pain. Cool. That's a problem, but right. And so that's a problem that they want solved, feeling out of control. Yep. How does that show up in their life? Right? For somebody who feels out of control, give me some actual examples of what that looks like. Now we're talking.
Go to lived experiences. Always dial it back to lived experiences.
Yeah.
What does this show up like in the person's life? Like, what does feeling out of control show up like? Like, what does that mean? Because they probably haven't even labeled it as feeling out of control, or that is such a broad label that people can come at that from very different viewpoints. So you have to get specific and figure out how it's showing up for them.
Yeah. Right. So step one, in moving online, whether you are already online or you just want to, get started online, is at the highest level, it's understanding, like, what are they typing into Google? Like, what are they typing into Google? What are they typing into the Facebook search bar? Right? Maybe they're typing, feeling out of control. More than likely, they're like, I hate my life. My children are going to be the death of me. Like, whatever it is, what are they typing into Google? Because that's what you have to talk about. Whatever they're typing into Google, that's how you get their attention. That's also the problem that they believe that they have, which you then create a service or a program to solve.
Yes.
So we can't just be like, I'm going to create a program. Cool. But we have to start with the person's problem that you're creating it for, because then you can circle back around and be very specific in your communication so that you get attention, so that you can actually put them in a better position to say yes to the thing that you're offering them. There's so many comments. Hold on.
I know, I'm looking.
Megan says, problem, parents want stronger bonds with their children. The problem, if we actually say it in the problem, is they feel like they don't have a strong bond with their children. That's the problem. What the desired outcome is that they want the bond, but the problem is they feel like they are not connected to their child. They feel guilty, shame, embarrassed, whatever. That's a huge problem. That's the problem. The outcome is they want the strong bond, right? And the solution is, I teach how to communicate effectively and use intentional play strategies to reduce frustrations and elevate connection. Yes, absolutely. So that's the solution. So people are going to pay for the strategies to create bonds because they feel like they're not connected to their children, and that makes them feel like a very bad parent. That's the problem that you're solving, that they feel like a very bad parent and they don't know how to do anything differently. Their hands are like, I don't know here. I don't know. Right? Yeah. The problem is they have depression due to pain and lack of mobility. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, that's a big problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem, right? The problem is the depression, the pain, right? The lack of mobility. All of those things are ruining their life. That's a big problem for people. We can talk about that. But what we find, especially for licensed practitioners, is you speak 10 steps ahead of where they are because you don't know, right? You bypass the whole attention situation and the attention first steps, and you go into clinical speak, right? And you start explaining things and they're like, what? And then they get freaked out because they're like, what's leaky gut, or what's adrenal fatigue, or what's this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, you have to go backwards and start them off slowly and connect the dots for them, that based on their symptoms, based on the problems that they have, you're not going to get their attention if you're talking about adrenal fatigue and leaky gut, because they don't know what those are. You're not going to get their attention that way. That might be the problem that you solve according to you, but you're 10 steps ahead, especially when you want to move online, right?
Yes.
When you're going from offline to online and you don't have the one-on-one, you have to anticipate this, right? You have to anticipate. Anything else you want to add about the problem thing?
No, I think that's good. I think it's the hardest for those of you who work in areas like gut health, like hormones, things that you think are just normal, that you talk about all day, every day, that everybody knows they need to balance their hormones, or everybody knows that they might, need gut health help. So you guys really just have to dial it back and go back to what they complain about in day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to get the attention. Right? Mm-hmm. So tell me also if this is making sense, why we need to start with the problem and the offer, and then we can talk about attention. Because there's so many people that are like, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do Facebook Lives. I'm like, if you don't know those things, it's because you haven't done the groundwork, right? You haven't done the ideal client problem transformation groundwork, right? Because there shouldn't be a question as to, what content you can provide. You might, run out of sort of ideas because you've been doing this for a year or longer. That's fair. But if you don't know, it's because you're not clear on the problem that you're solving, and therefore you can't brainstorm all of the different complaints, all of the different symptoms, all of the different objections, all of the different challenges, all of the things that they've tried before. And you're like, I don't know what to say, right? So let me know if that makes sense to you. I'm just sort of going through to see if anybody else had a question.
Sharon had a really good comment. She said, and I love this, even though I'm a general practitioner, I can pick a favorite area to market to online. That's exactly what we're saying.
Yep.
If you have an in-person, you don't need to change that. We're not telling you to change that. You have to pick something specific to move to the online space with.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And for those of you that are licensed and, or even work offline, whether you're a gym, a yoga instructor, for sure you can offer yoga classes, Pilates classes online, right? For sure. But long-term, if this is something that you want long-term, the way online works, when you get into running ads to grow your audience, when you get into more attention getting strategies, we need to speak to different pain points. We need to speak to different symptoms that would then pull people into your world that would then take your Pilates class. Because if you just advertised free Pilates classes, that's not going to work. It might work right now because people want to do Pilates and we're in a sort of crisis situation, but long term, you can't just offer free Pilates classes, right? Or free yoga classes or free cooking classes. There has to be a reason why someone would take your class. Sorry, not free, paid, free, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah. Right? There has to be a reason that someone's going to take the class, right? And until you know that, until you know why, as a chiro, someone's going to take your program online because they have shoulder pain, because they have back pain, because they have, I don't know, a car injury, an injury from an accident, a traumatic brain injury, whatever, right? The problem that you solve is giving you the fuel to talk about it and get attention. And online, that's how it works. Right? So you can be a chiro, you can be an RN, you can be an LMT, you can be an RMT, you can be a physio, you can do that and have all of the offline stuff stay exactly the same.
Yes.
And then when you move online, we need to talk about specificity and branding and niching and ideal client and problem so that you can grow an audience of only the people who have that particular problem so that your content makes sense and your offer makes sense, right? So what we want you to do today is we want you to think about a specific problem that you can solve right now, whether you have a program set up, whether you have anything set up online, because we're going to walk you through how to do it over the next 2 weeks. But we need to start with what is it that you're going to do? Because without what is it that you're going to do, we can't
keep going.
help you do it. So that's what we want you to do today. You can put it in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on Instagram. What is the problem that you solve? Right? What are your people typing into Google? And if you don't know, pick something you're obsessed with.
Yes, just pick. Just pick. Totally.
Like, we don't have time for you to spend, we see this and we're like, I've been working on my niche for 6 months. What the F? Why?
Pick.
That is not something that should be happening. Especially
you can
right
pivot
now.
later. You can pivot later. You can pick something new in 6 months if you don't like it.
Yeah. But for right now, just pick. It's fine. Yep. Just pick something, because once you pick, we have a starting point and we need a starting point to move forward. So that's your homework for today. We're going to get you to pick a niche. We're going to, not even a niche. We're going to just even get you to dial in the problem that you solve and phrase it in the way of a complaint. Phrase it in a complaint, right? As if your person was talking to you, what are the actual complaint words that are coming out of their mouth, right? Phrase it that way, not in your professional clinical opinion, right? Phrase it as they would say it to you. And that's what we want to see, because that will give us the starting point. Sharon says, thanks for the pep talk. I picked. Woohoo!
Yay!
Good job. That's going to give us a starting point. So we'll be back again tomorrow to build off of what we did today so that you have a starting point. And again, just to, as a reminder, tomorrow we are going to go into the actual format of what you're going to sell. So whether that's one-on-one consults, because that's all you can do right now, especially if you're licensed and you don't have the infrastructure set up. Or if you already have a program online, we're going to talk about the format of your offer tomorrow in terms of the problem and the transformation. And we're going to give you 2 examples of what you could do, those of you that are licensed and those of you that are not. So 8:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Hope this was helpful, and we will talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.